we would always declare our admiration towards our favorite characters. These fictional models carve a standard that one could pursue, something our current self could not quite achieve, but for betterment we wish to nonetheless. They are our aspire to be, and they inspire us to achieve the same. Through mimicry or impersonation, some chooses their own ways to express their adoration, bridging the gap between them ever closer. But how often do you put down your telescope aimed at the peak, actually observe the path and process they took, and trace their trails by yourself? Here we have Kageyama Shigeo, nicknamed Mob, a second-year middle schooler, part-time exorcist. Enter his coming of age, wanting to achieve modest little goals, without taking the advantage of his unequaled power that everyone wishes to have, and subsequently allow people around to influence him as he influences them back. Coming of age stories are abundant in anime, but Mob Psycho comes with a transparent, multi-purpose gimmick infused to its main character's growth. One that turns raw emotions down to numericals, and although it usually means a gasmic of high-tier animation would ensue when it hits maximum, it is also Mob's stream of consciousness, our lens to his emotional responses in the faces of perils and everyday life scenarios. The iconic percentile meter can be interpreted in two ways. One is when achieving 100%, Mob would quote-unquote unlock or acquire an emotion. With one incident after another, he would grow as a character as he understands more and more emotions corresponding to his experiences. And the second way, which I believe provides a more interesting interpretation of the meter, is to see every single percentage between 0 to 100 as part of the emotion Mob is trying to apprehend. Every increase is Mob acquiring their nuance, inching towards the epiphany of said emotion. I think either interpretation services the story well. Since Mob was portrayed as an emotionally dense boy early in the show, it is fair to see him as a white canvas ready to be painted. But learning is a gradual and delicate process. A two-step process would betray Mob's character entirely, as he is not about taking the easy way out. His methodology and his willingness to dispel orders from his peers just to follow through his own decisions would reflect better with the latter interpretation. Time and time again, people around Mob will always nudge him to take the simplest solution to achieve his goals, under the basis of knowing he was gifted with psychic powers and ought to use them. And Mob would always deny their suggestions, saying a quick solution that utilizes his power as the jumping board would be pointless, because he himself knows best that he lacks everything else in between him as a person and his psychic powers. The name Mob juxtaposes the power Shigeo was born with. This is a clever wordplay, but more importantly, it also represents the role he truly wants to play. It is precisely because he was gifted, the normal way of life is much more difficult to attain, so he takes his power under control. He wants a balance. To not let his unusual psychic robs his human psyche away. Participating in a social structure means that there will be a norm to live around. This circle differs from culture and any individual. Some may be more fortunate than the others, but yearning for something we don't currently possess is perhaps a curse laid onto us by outer means early in our days. But be sure during the pursuit, do not forget the journey can be equally fruitful. No doubt the journey will be a bumpy road, but along the way, it is the opportunity to learn in every sense of the word. Learn sadness and remember how it feels, whether it came from regret, helplessness, or failure. Know that it is temporary whenever it comes for a visit. Accommodate its existence and build tolerance against it. Know that you have the power to inflict the same to others, and from whence the value of kindness. Learn rejection. Yes, learn to reject the ideology people instill upon you, the expectations set by others, the society mold created by a collective you do not believe in the first place.
お前の人生の主役はお前だろ?
Reject your darkest fears, trauma that your mind tucked away in your deepest conscious. Because there will be a future when you have grown past who you are, you can face it with a greater self.
嫌な時はな、 逃げたっていいんだよ。
After rejection, learn acceptance. Learn that your weaknesses are part of you. Accept your flaws but do not linger. If actions can be made to fill the holes, take the initiative and fix them at your own pace.
お前を生かせるのはお前しかいないんだ。信用しろ。
Learn to rely on others when necessary. Playing tough may feed your pride, but if it doesn't service beyond that shallow need, know when to let it rest. Remember your true purpose and don't let ego get in the way. The burden you hold will only get heavier, but when an extra pair of hands reach out to you, share the weight even if they are temporary. And then learn empathy. Acknowledge the struggles of others as you have been there going through the exact same pressure. It may be your turn to become the supporter just for being empathetic. After all that journey, when you attain what you set off to gain, Shin is pointing ever higher with overflowing confidence as the achievement itself, however humble, is the concrete proof that your beliefs were always right. Rejoice and face the challenge ahead with greater momentum. As someone who hasn't reached the goal that will mean the life for me, even I can see myself carrying a degree of conceit or arrogance if I ever get a hold of it. Because oftentimes when pursuing something one truly believes, people around are likely unable to see the worth as much as the believer, let alone recognizing the efforts. And then, doubts, judgments, and even discouragements are thrown towards the one who chose the unconventional. So when everything's well-deserved alas, boastfully denounce those who did not believe in you seems like a fair and expected response to liberate yourself from all the negativity bestowed upon you, isn't it? This is mirrored by the members of the 7th Division of Claw, as they have succumbed to that mentality and never got out. Being the anomalies of society, they have been rejected so deeply that when they finally refute, it is always driven by grudge and resent. World domination is but a form of payback taken to the extreme. But Mob who had experienced firsthand both edges of his power, knows that just for it to exist, it will undoubtedly affect not only the individual user, even if it is utilized for personal reasons. A trigger that could also harm those who he cherishes. Lucky he may be for not falling victim to social problems that might turn his outlook upside down, but that is all the more reason to cherish that fortunate circumstance. With that in hand, Mob comes along, unknowingly teaches the conceited a lesson only a fellow Esper can teach, pointing their own pride against them. Gaining higher positions in the hierarchy and isolating others to cement your own existence would mean stooping as low as those who had wronged you. Nothing awaits at the top if you just deny everyone else. And look at where he is now, surrounded by people who genuinely care for him like he cares for them, while the others, who only cares about their own position, lives a life without trust, overly cautious on being treated the same like they did to others, always at each other's throat, unfit to live even among their kinds. It is the two sides of the same coin. Everything leads to the choice, decided within a split second. They chose destruction, but Mob chooses life. Before an Esper, Shigeo is still a pubescent boy, one who has no guards against his hormones' reactions. Love gave him the very first step to change, and he met a teacher who is willing to see him as any other teenage boys. He is definitely fitting in socially despite his natural awkwardness. Learning from people around him, bringing people together, being part of the world and influencing others. And he is only getting closer to his goal by not discarding beliefs of others and by not clinging to his unparalleled power. For every steps have worth that justify the destination. Because if you reach the goal using shortcuts, you will have no hard work to begin. If you unleash your anger in order to discharge, you will not know how to refrain. If you only follow the road signposted by everyone, you lose part of you and what you could have become. If you carry all the weight by yourself recklessly, you might destroy yourself before reaching the goal. If you do not have the heart to empathize with others, there will be no meaningful connections to be made. And these are the lessons we should learn from our little Psycho Helmet cult leader, Kageyama Shigeo. Thank you for watching my little take on the lessons of Mob Psycho 100. If you feel inspired even just a little bit, consider subscribing to my channel because that little something I'm working towards mentioned earlier requires your assistance. Share it to your friends and community if you are so inclined. This is part of a series of videos I've made trying to kickstart this channel, and the next one will be the last of the series. Check out what I've been putting out if you are new. Some long forgotten game review deep dives remain in my other channel, so take your pick if you have the time. Follow me on Twitter at moonanime9 as well for the funnies. Now that we have had a live lesson, it is time to put them to practice. I'll see you from the moon. Jikai on Moon Anime.